Hey everybody, welcome back on the Slimefun Tutorial on the channel. I'm Boomer, your host, and guys, I can't tell you how good it feels just to be able to spend some time with you talking about Slimefun again. It's been a long time, at least I think 3 months since I was able to last record one. I don't know what frequency I'm going to be able to. I am still recovering. It is going well. Thank you guys for all the well wishes. I really appreciate it. But let's get back into the last episode of Supreme. Now, just so that you guys know as well, I reached out to the dev of Supreme to see what we could do to get it updated so it would work for 1.20.3 and above, and he has pushed out a build. So two major issues were addressed, obviously that one, and then the item converter has now been removed since Supreme 1.0 was the first version that came out. When 2.0 came out, the goal was to simply update those items from the original version to the second one. It's been more than a year. He agreed that should come out, and so it has been removed. So let's get into Supreme's energy. We're going to start there. So the first thing we're going to look at is the basic mob generator. And there are 3 levels to this. The first one must be within 3 blocks. Level 2 is 6. Level 3 is 9. And how simple is this, right? Cows, sheep, pigs, generating me some power. Not bad. So this one generates 50 joules per second with a 1,000 joule buffer. Level 2 is 200, level 3 is 800 with higher buffers as they increase. And you know, I hate to say it, but even in my massive survival world that I've been building, I still use cows as one source of, I have a big pen like this filled with cows, and every so often I slaughter them with looting 3, cook the beef, and move on. Alright, let's keep going here. So basic ignis generator. Let's see, let's clear these out. Actually, we're going to need some water at some point too. Not sure what I did with my water. I probably drank it, knowing me. Alright, no, water bucket. It's probably, or forgive me guys, I am just getting back into the groove of things here. Okay. Water, I want the guide. Alright, let's put the water back in, and here we go. Alright, let's look at the first one here. So the basic ignis generator. We're just going to do this. There we go. Okay, and we need a regulator. So for the basic ignis generator, and really for all these basic ones, they're great starting power generators when you need to get a little bit of power but you don't have much to work with. These are relatively cheap to craft in comparison to some of the counterparts and add-ons as well as Core Slimefun. You can craft these a little bit easier than you could a nuclear reactor, as well as some of the other add-ons. I'd put this in the top 25% as far as ease of crafting versus value you get from it. So to light it, try that again. To light it up, simply fire underneath it, and there it goes. It has a 5,000 joule buffer, generates 2,500 joules per tick, which is what's so cool about this one. It's a lot more power for not a whole ton of effort. Probably the worst piece to this, really for me, is more likely the elemental staff, simply just because of the layers of crafting it takes to make that thing. Everything else is relatively easy. In comparison, I'm going to say, compared to other generators of this size, that doesn't mean that there isn't some work here. But as you can see, it really isn't all that expensive when you look at these. Yeah, a couple of redstone alloy ingots, but if you're at the point to where you're generating this kind of power, you probably have most of the supplies. It's just the layers of crafting a staff, an elemental staff. I think it's like 6 or 7 layers, and there's a couple of pieces that kind of annoy to get crafted. But anyways, so that is the basic ingus, big ingus, there we go. Okay, basic ventus. So the ventus generator, it just needs a face in the wind. That's just that simple. Let's put out our fire. Alright, generator's out, there we go. It just needs to have sides open. In other words, one space around it, and actually it can be up against the regulator. You just have to make sure that you do have open sides when you first place it. Alright, going on from there, we can go to the basic aqua generator, and this one simply requires water underneath it, just directly underneath it. That's all there is to that one. The basic lux generator This just needs to be placed. I have yet to find a way to stop it from working because it says sunlight or moonlight. So I even surrounded it, and I think what it does is it just checks to see if there's sunlight or moonlight. There's an advanced version as well, and I think, like I said, it just needs to be placed, and that's pretty much it. The basic lumen generator, it says it needs to be below ground, so I did set up a roof above it, surrounded it, placed it, and it did power up. So I think there might be a potential bug where this is working anywhere. I know most people aren't going to report it, but the intention of it is to work below ground. All right, and then the other generators, same thing. They work anywhere. The thorium generator, supreme generator, and the capacitors work just like Core Slimefun's capacitors. So with that, we're going to move on to the remaining machines that we haven't really talked about yet. We've covered almost all of them, but there are some left here that we have not gotten into. And so the first one is a virtual garden. This works just like Infinity Expansion's tree farm, where you can put a sapling in and it will create the logs that you get. I don't believe you get the leaves with it. Let's take a look and see, just to make sure. Let's go with the virtual garden, and we'll go with the fast one just to play it safe. Right, we're going to go boomer on this, so let's see. Let's get lined up. All right. Let's give, let's say, an oak sapling. That should be good enough to test, right? We'll do dark oak. What the heck? All right, so sapling goes up. It's the identical layout, the same process. Okay, you do get the leaves. The one thing you're not getting here is the apples. And if you notice, it does produce, while very quickly, much faster than the Infinity machine. If I remember, the Infinity machine's top layer is every 15 seconds, but you do get more than one, if I remember correctly. But here you're not getting the apples. But the concept's the same. Put in an item and it produces. Now it does produce, there's two different types of machines. There's a crop one and a tree one in Infinity. This one also can do things like turning dyes, right? It can turn flowers into dyes. It can turn lilies into white dyes. It can turn light gray there. You can do chorus fruit in a purple dye, an interesting shortcut. We can do cactus in a green, carrots into carrots, so we can produce the crop stuff. So you can see it'll reproduce the wither rose, netherwort, same thing as a lot of other machines do. Put in an end crystal, you can generate end stone. I kind of like that one, simply because I tend to like using end stone in a lot of builds. Snow, hey, you know what? That's a big one for me. So the virtual garden, great machine. Okay, forge ingot, same thing as Infinity Expansion's Infinity Ingot Former, except it only uses 32 dust to make 32 ingots, not 64. So this is a machine that's going to be very expensive. Right? Now, granted, I think I clicked on Tier 3. I believe I clicked on Tier 3. Yeah, so let's look at Tier 1. So carbon press, smelteries, inductive, petrifier, rustless. So it's a little expensive, but it costs you more resources up front. But if you don't have millions of dust lying around, it's not a bad option. The Tier 3 one is what's going to kill you. 2 Supremes right off the bat. I don't even know if I could ever get to that point. It'll take forever. All right, Forge Magical. This is kind of like this is a combination of an autocrafter, an ore grinder, and some good recipes in your favor and some bad recipes. I'll give you an example. In Core Slimefun, 32 cobblestone and ore grinder yields 32 gravel. 32 wheat and a 16 netherwort. I don't remember if that recipe is 2-to-1 or not, but here's one that I like: 32 soul sand and 32 nether quartz. In a gold pan in Core Slimefun, by default, I think the yield is 15%. Here's where you lose. 32 netherwort should yield 64 magic lump ones. There are some where you might gain a little bit. So, for example, lapis is something that a lot of people have lying around, but to turn 32 into 8, well, you're not using the aluminum dust ingots, glass block, or glass pane. So if you've got a ton of lapis lying around, it's a great deal. 32 coal and 8 carbon, so that's Core Slimefun. Some of these I disagree with. So 32 magnets and a 16 electromagnets. All it is copper wire. That's pretty simple. 32 ferrosilicon into 16 photovoltaic cells. I don't know if I like that one or not. I guess I'm 50-50 on that one. 32 crushed ore and 8 tiny piles of uranium, which gives you 2 small chunks of uranium. If you're at this stage, you probably aren't even using crushed ore anymore. Some other ones in there in here, 32, so the blistering ingot is a 50-50 cut. Now, if you don't have carbonatos and you don't have nether stars, maybe this is not a bad idea. I mean, you are going to lose some, but, you know, it's an option. So something to consider. Magic Altar, same as the Core Slimefun Ancient Altar. It'll produce all the same recipes that the Ancient Altar produces. I'm not going to demonstrate that one. The Foundry, same thing as Infinity Expansion's Resource Synthesizer. I was worried I couldn't get that right. You're going to put 2 different items in to get 1. So in this case, if I put in 6 Supreme Redstone and 3 Diamond, I get 64 Redstone Alloy Ingot. Now to me, this seems like a ripoff, because this is 9 or 6 times 64 times 9. In other words, it's like roughly 3,400 redstone and roughly 1,700 diamonds to make 64 redstone alloy ingots. I kind of feel like I'm losing something there. Maybe it's just me. There's a whole bunch of recipes. So for example, 6 supreme quartz, 3 supreme lead to get 64 photovoltaic cells. To me, this is an absolute no. I lose so much doing that. But look at this. I can get, you know, the enchanted golden apple with 6 supreme gold, 3 supreme apples. That might not be too bad. So you have to kind of decide, you know, are some of these worth it? Like, here's a way to automate buckets of oil just by using black ink and iron. If you need the buckets, to me, that actually sounds like a pretty decent deal, because buckets of oil are non-renewable. Let's see, autocrafters. So this one I would highly recommend you stay away from, and even at the level 1, because it requires a core Slimefun vanilla crafter and an enhanced autocrafter, and it doesn't really craft much of anything. I wouldn't even waste your time with this one, to be honest with you. Virtual aquarium. All right, this is really cool. So you have 3 different tools you can place in here that will yield 9 different items, and each tool has a different rate of return or a different loot table percentage. So by putting a fishing rod into the virtual aquarium, if I want sponges, I have a 2% chance. Here it's cod, salmon, and tropical fish, and ink sacs are the 4 big ones. Now, if I want to increase my chances of getting sponges, I want a trident in there. If I put in a trident, my sponge jumps up to 10%. If I needed a lot of sponges, that's a great way to go. Sea lanterns, not bad. Cods drop. Nautilus, right? The Nautilus shells, that's a good one, and some string. And then finally, the golden hole. Well, this one is all about string and sticks. 50% on string or stick, 33% on string. So to be honest with you, I have a bunch of these set up in my world. It was mainly for sponges and fish. Those were the 2 main reasons why I set those up. But it's the only way I can think of to automate getting sponges. All right, moving on. The last thing I want to talk about here are the quarries. You simply put these on top of a chest, connect power to them, and you can see the items you can get as well as the ratios that they yield. Now, nice thing about here, for me, at least on this one, is the snowballs. For here, it's the ice at the iron quarry. Gold quarry for sure. Sulfate, and another way to get buckets of oil. The diamond quarry. Now, these are really getting expensive. I mean, these are time-consuming crafts, and they get expensive quickly. Just to give you an example, diamond quarry, 1, 2, plus a gold quarry. You've got 2 of these that are require some. Core of Death is painful, man, I'm telling you. It's a lot. Like I said, Supreme is not for the meek, that is for sure. Moving on from oh, by the way, Crying Obsidian, way to automate that. So now we're at the Thornium quarry. Now we're getting Thornium bits as well as netherite ingots and a lot of blocks. And then finally here, everything is blocks with the exception of Supreme nuggets and Thorium bits. So very expensive. But again, Supreme is meant to be truly endgame. I mean, I spent 4 months going hardcore Supreme, and I accomplished about 5% of the add-on. I kid you not. To get everything endgame, going full steam, I'm willing to bet you could take, I mean, to get serious about quantities, to really go boomer, probably would take you a year, would be my guess. Now, in a survival world I'm working in, when we start adding in Supreme, yeah, we're going to go boomer to see what we can do. All right, so guys, what's next? I did promise at the end of Supreme 3 that we were going to start comparing. We're going to put side by side Supreme, Infinity Expansion, and Dynatech, and we're going to find out. We're going to compare all the similar machines, even if there's only two that compare, such as the Resource Synthesizer, right? We're going to put all those things together. We're going to see which ones are the fastest at each level, and I'm going to give you my recommendations based on cost and, of course, what you're willing to do to get there. But I think you're going to be a little shocked. You might not choose the ones you might think I do. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. All the support while I was out. Look forward to more episodes in the future. But as always, when you're playing Slime Fun, you've got to go boomer or you got to go home. We'll see you later.